Ashokji.
Okay. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai. How to love God? To love God in the most practical way is to love our fellow beings. If we feel for others in the same way as we feel for our dear ones, we love God. 1. If instead of seeing faults in others, we look within ourselves, we are loving God. 2. If instead of robbing others to help ourselves, we rob ourselves to help others, we are loving God. 3. If we suffer in the suffering of others and feel happy in the happiness of others, we are loving God. 4. If instead of worrying over our own misfortunes, we think of ourselves more fortunate than many, many others, we are loving God. 5. If we endure a lot with patience and contentment, accepting it as His will, we are loving God. 6. If we understand and feel that the greatest act of devotion and worship to God is not to hurt or harm any of His beings, we are loving God. 7. To love God as He ought to be loved, we must live for God and die for God, knowing that the goal of all life is to love God and find Him as our own self. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Thank you. So, by the way, the other announcement I have is I think there was a mistake in Baba Zoom timing of our entry. So I was actually texting back and forth to make that fix. So it's, I think, fixed. Um, now, yeah, I think that's one side. The other side is I'm actually considering whether to explore in some way working with them in the sense that maybe move to Zoom and make it easier for participants that are anywhere, because it's such a if now in the last 1 week I've seen multiple people just come in because it's easier to they just have to join in a easier fashion. So I'm just thinking about it. I've not made my decision. I would invite comments from you guys as well as to is there a better way. I mean, is it better for us to move to Zoom? But before that, I'd like you to go and join a few Baba Zoom meetings as well to see the energy and see, what's happening, right? Just and then give me your feedback, and then we'll decide accordingly. This anyway is paid for a year, and I think we have another 2-3 months to go. Obviously, the advantage would be we don't have to pay at all because we can just move to Zoom and it becomes free, the meeting part, right? That's just a logistics discussion point that I wanted to bring up. Let's continue. So we are at page, we finished, we were at 299. Yeah, right?
Karthik,
Yes.
can you tell me a little more about Baba Zoom? What is that?
So actually I was
I may have
showing
missed.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think yesterday you were not there, right? So in fact, I put it up on the Telegram
Yeah.
group. Yesterday, I showed people what it is. So this is what it is, right? So Baba Zoom is just somebody who's not somebody, it's Angela Chen from California, who's just created a free, I mean, she's just paid for a Zoom subscription and
Mhm.
made it like a virtual room for literally anyone in the world. So I propose Nomita also moves her meetings, her prayer readings to this and lists it here, because
Mhm.
people now, people who know about Baba Zoom, Baba lovers that know about Baba Zoom, just come here, look up the calendar,
Mhm.
and can join any meeting after looking up the calendar item. So if you
Ah,
look at
okay.
so if you look at ours,
Mhm.
I have given an introduction as to what we do, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So, how to connect with us, what is our old videos, and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
So, and our now the same thing. If you're on Baba Zoom, so
Mhm.
let's take an example of someone who's already on Baba Zoom. That is that. Yeah. So this is. a light meditation at 2 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So now it just means that you use the standard connection details. So it's much
Right.
easier. You just use the same username meeting and then you
Right.
join. So in the last 1 week, I think I attended 2 or 3 meetings, largely US, right? US people, but
Right.
I have been having fun. So this is late night Dubai time, so it may not work for you, at least the ones that I attended. But I'm
Right.
looking forward already to next week. So in that sense, yeah, this is what I was talking about. So now
Understood.
we,
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah,
all
I'll.
right.
Karthik, but the timing has to be, reasonably benevolent for us.
No. So we'll stick to our time. We're not changing anything.
Yes, yes.
So we are just trying to see the technology change, and also the only question on which is open is the technology change. We don't change anything else,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Other thing, Karthik, is that I downloaded the calendar.
Uh-huh.
If I click the calendar, the link is right inside, right? I don't have to go anywhere else.
Depending on the meeting. So there are people like us who don't use Zoom
Okay. Okay.
also.
But their own meeting, the group, the Chen runs, Angela
That's
runs.
just the Zoom meeting.
That,
Yes.
yeah. So if I open my calendar, in that description, I'll find that link and I can click and join, right?
So they are also smart about it. What they do is, I think they keep changing the password. Okay, the meeting number remains the same, but they
Okay.
keep changing the password. So you do well to save this part. So if you go to Baba
This is
Zoom
on
and
the regular website, right?
yes, on Baba Zoom, go to virtual meetings and here it is.
Baba Zoom is a website name also, right?
Yes,
Babazoom.org or what it is actually.
yes. Baba .net. It's all on Telegram. Maybe I'll pin that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Telegram. So you can go back and search and connect. Yeah. All right. With that out of the way, let's get
Start.
back to reading. So we were at Mandla at Madhya Pradesh when we stopped. And do we have a volunteer to read? Sunil, do you want to read if you are in a position to read?
Uh, okay. I'm
Great.
not in a great position, but I'll read.
Okay.
Okay.
I assume you're lounging on a sofa or sleeping, but it's okay.
I,
Baba
I,
wants you
have,
to read.
I have a flight to catch in a bit, but I'll read. I'll read. Leave that aside. 30 minutes.
Whatever time. Tell me when you're uncomfortable and we'll rotate. Yeah.
About 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Jai
I'm
Baba.
using my mobile, so it may be a little bit of a struggle, but it's okay. Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me where to read from.
We start on page 299. We finished with Sabbal Bua. So the next one is Meherban Baba. And he's in Meerut.
Meherban Baba. So, Meherban Baba, a high mast of fifth plane who stays in the cremation ground, he looks very fierce, with big eyes shining like fire, and has the fierce temperament of a Jalali type of mast. He has with him 10 to 12 dogs, and to those who dare to come near, I think we have to go to the next page. Him. The
And
local
to those who dare to come near him. Yeah. Go ahead.
the local people are rather afraid of him because of his formidable appearance. He says, Meherban, gracious friend.
Hmm.
Then we
Okay.
go to
Uh,
Udasi. Yeah,
I think the
sorry.
interesting part is this is the first time we are coming across another advanced soul with a very close name. So that's interesting.
Hmm. Yep.
In Meerut, there is a person called Meherban Baba. So it's something to be noted.
1946, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we go to Mehrabad. So there is another,
Meherabad.
there's a section in Mehrabad. Okay, so let's go with Babajan.
Babajan. Okay. The following account of Hazrat Babajan visit to Meherabad is taken with some minor changes from F.H. Dadachandji's account of the life of Meher Baba in Gujarati. Baba's first master, Hazrat Babajan, had lived in Pune for years and had never left the town even for a day except to visit the Pune cantonment and the suburbs. For the first time in 1928, however, Babajan expressed a wish to go out of Pune to visit my child, meaning to visit Meher Baba at Meherabad. It is said that for days beforehand she was constantly mentioning of the words Ahmednagar and my child. Babajan's visit to Meherabad on 1st April 1928 is of course a red letter day in the history of Meherabad. In the morning, Baba repeatedly indicated that a significant event would occur that day, and at about 11:30 a.m., a big car drew up in front of the Hazrat Babajan school at Meherabad. In the car was seated Babajan herself. As soon as the car stopped, Babajan said, "Send a message to my child." In those days, in Meherabad, it was a custom to inform Baba, who was in seclusion on the hill, of the arrival of any visitor. On receipt of the news of Babajan's arrival, the Mandli on the hill wondered whether it was really true that Babajan had come over personally or whether there was some mistake. But when Baba himself, emerging from his seclusion, started going down the hill, all the Mandli started down the hill with him. Baba stopped near the railway line which runs between the ashram on the hill and Mehrabad ashram below. On the other side from lower Mehrabad, and keeping only one of the Mandi with him, asked the others to go and take the darshan of his master. When everyone was taking her darshan, Babajan, in her customary soft voice, was muttering significantly, mostly about my child. When the darshan was completed, Babajan drank some water and departed. Throughout the time that she was at Mehrabad, Baba was some yards away on the other side of the railway line. For some reason, both did not go near each other. On Babajan's departure, Baba said, "Today has been a most important day." The next day, Baba, with a few of the Mandli, made a return to visit to Babajan in Pune. The party had not far to go, for Babajan was already in her usual place in the Bun Gardens at Pune. This time too, Baba stood at a distance on the other side, on the other bank of the river Mulamutha. The two masters alone knew what secret working was afoot during these visits.
Intriguing to say the least, right? So though
Hmm.
they visited each other back to back on 2 days, but they never actually met.
Met.
Oh, there is a footnote. I don't know if it's just to do. Yeah, it's to do with Mehrabad. Why don't we just read it
Sure.
on the previous page? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first note on
Ah.
23rd April 1937, the Mad Ashram of Rahori moved to Mehrabad and was kept there till 1939 when it was transferred to Bangalore. In April 1940, it again moved back to Mehrabad and was finally disbanded in September 1940. The Mast Ashram arrived in Mehrabad from Bangalore in 1940 and remained there until October 1940, when it may be considered as having come to an end. Chatti Baba, however, remained with Baba to travel with him all over India until September 1941. The principal individual must contacts at Mehrabad are given here. The description of various members of the Mad Ashram are all given under Rahori. One day, In January 1942, Baba explained about Masts while sitting near Dhuni Sacred Fire at Mehrabad. This Dhuni is close to the tiny hut in which Baba wrote his book. For a description of this, see Meher Baba Journal, Volume 4, page 227. Those who wish to refer to the dates of Baba's various periods of stay at Mehrabad between 1939 and 1947 should refer to the small map at the bottom right-hand corner of the large map at the end of the volume. These dates have not been included here as there are too many of them.
Okay. So basically, I think he's talking about these dates, right?
Mm,
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue.
right.
So Mehrabad Chotu Mian.
Chotu Mian in Mehrabad. Brought to Mehrabad from Sangamner for one day. He's a good mast of Jamali type. When Baidul went to Sangamner to bring him to Baba, the local people at first refused to let him go. But Baidul came again by night when most people were asleep, and finding the mast sleeping outside a barber's shop, awoke him and coaxed him into the car. Baidul had a car with him and took him to Mehrabad. Chotu Mian is very fond of tea and pan, and his clothes are stained with pan juice. When Baidul first came to him, the mast said spontaneously, "Your prophet is very great, and he is greater than Christ and Muhammad, and all the world will believe him." This is 1943, June 1. Yeah.
There's many more that I've met in Mehrabad, which is interesting, including Muhammad, where we read a lot, and of course, there's a whole chapter. Okay, Mira Datar, or I don't know how do you pronounce that, Mira Datar.
Mira Datar. Yeah.
Oh, let's look up where this is. This is C6, it says. So, I think C is here, Rajasthan. I mean, yeah, border of Rajasthan and or Gujarat.
It's
Mira
Gujarat.
Datar, Gujarat.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, good.
Okay. Sayyid Mustafa, a very high mast of the sixth plane who is famous in Mira Datar. Once a year, he's taken through the town on a horse, and a great festival is held in his honor. He's an old man of noble countenance, perhaps 85 years of age, and is very impressive to look at. He stays at the shrine of Mira Datar, a saint of great renown. There is a belief that madness and possession by evil spirits may be cured by contact with this shrine, and people of all castes, Muslims, Hindus, Parsis, flock there. Many with insane beloved ones bring them to Mira Datar and tie them to the railing above the shrine in the belief that they will be cured. It is said that many are thus made sane.
There are
This was
multiple shrines which kind of have this claim in India. Sorry, you were saying something, Sunil.
Oh no, I was just saying it's 1941 June. Yeah,
Correct, yeah.
yeah.
So maybe we just quickly see if there's anything available on Mira Datar.
Yeah, it is there. There is a shrine there. It is in Palanpur,
Okay.
close to Palanpur in Gujarat, Mehsana district.
Okay. So
There's a Wikipedia page also on Mira Datar.
okay.
There is a shrine of Mira Datar in Mumbai also.
Syed Ali Mira Datar, Syed Ali Dargah Sharif. That's the one. Okay. And Wikipedia is still not showing up, but anyway, interesting. Hazrat Syed Ali Datar. But we are looking at Syed Mustafa. So Syed Mustafa is not listed. Syed Ali seems to be the current or more popular one.
I said Miradatar as a place.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place is also named after the saint who must have lived earlier than
Correct.
Sayyid Mustafa, right?
Correct. Exactly. That's what it says. I think there's a shrine or
Yeah.
tomb shrine. Yeah, must be. Okay. Mitri D5. Now D5 would be again very new places, right? D should be this and it should be here. Yeah, there it is. Rajasthan, near Amber or near Jaipur.
Hmm.
Okay. Lakshman Das.
With 3D5 Lakshman Das. This is 1946, October 11. An adept pilgrim, a very old man who for 50 years has lived in the temple at Mithri. He has a fair, lustrous face, and he welcomed Baba very cordially. Those with Baba made obeisance to him, and Lakshman Das wept when he met Baba. His emotional response was very touching and beautiful sight. He has a lawyer as a disciple who reads the Gita aloud before him. Mitri is a few miles from Naranpura station, and the party hired a camel for the journey. Baba and his men took turns on the camel to mitigate the fatigue of walking over the sandy ground that is typical of that part of Rajputana.
Wow. Montgomery. Montgomery is wow, C3. So this is D5. Pakistan. Patan near and near Multan. Here it is. So,
Yeah, okay. So there's a saint called
Mastani.
Mastani, a girl about 18 years old. This is 1941, March 6. A girl about 18 years old who was a high Mastani. She sat near a river bank under a nondescript awning, was naked save for her old skirt, and about her was a collection of rubbish and old bones. It was said that she had been under the awning for many years. Despite these external features of dirtiness, she had a lovely face with eyes so bright and fiery that they reminded those who saw her of the eyes of a tiger. Baba contacted her on the way to Quetta in 1941, and he told each of the women who were accompanying him to Quetta to go and look at her. As each one bent down and looked at her under the awning, the Mastani flung out one arm vigorously with flaming eyes, exclaimed, Age, forward. I don't understand this. When the inquiries were made about her
oh,
in
okay. I think it's Age.
Aja,
Age.
Aja.
Age.
Oh,
Sorry.
Age, not age. Okay.
Yeah.
Age, forward. When the inquiries were made about her in 1946, it was thought that she had passed away.
Yeah, so she would have just been 24 when she passed away, but interesting. And Moradabad, UP, Maulana Shamsuddin Ulema.
Na Shamsuddin Ulema. This is 1942, February. An adept pilgrim and a great man, very advanced in years, he was believed to be about 120 years old. He was a scholar of Arabic and Persian and was at that time 1942 well cared for by the family of a government official who loved and revered him. When Baba went to see him, he was asleep, and when they awakened him, he looked up at Baba and exclaimed in Persian, Dar Zulmate Shab, Dar Zulmate Shab, Noor Khuda mi binam. In the darkness of the night, I see the light God.
नीचे जाता हूँ मैं fan लेके.
Okay, then want to read the single star also, name not known.
Yes, yes.
1924, August 18. This was one of the Baba's early must contacts. He was near the station in very filthy clothes and was in Mazub-like state. He was inordinately fond of ice cream and he asked for and was given ice cream by Baba. A sum of 5 rupees was also given to a restaurant proprietor and an agreement made with him that he should feed Mast regularly with ice cream. Nice.
This is a new one, yeah. Ice cream.
Ice cream Baba.
Yeah. So 1924, August 18.
Yep.
Okay. We can rotate if you prefer, or if you're okay
Yeah.
to continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we rotate?
Sure. So
Thank you.
Ashokji, you want to read for some time?
Uh, just 1 second. I have to start from Murta, Mathura. Right?
Mathura.
Yes. And it's the period is 1946, October 14. Azim Khan Baba, a high must who wears white homespun cotton clothes. Previously, for many a year, he had been fully naked and was then in a mazub-like state. Baidul first went to see him, and the must said, "Your prayers have been accepted." And Baidul then said, "My elder brother, meaning Baba, wants to see you." The must replied, "No, he is my father. He should not come." Baba, however, came to contact him, and as soon as his eyes fell upon Baba's form, he cried out, "You are Allah. You have brought forth the creation, and once in 1,000 years you come down to see the play of what you have created." Then Brahmanandji Mast. This is 1945 November and 1944 October. An adept pilgrim who lives in the stable of a dharamshala near the hallowed banks of the Jamna River. He has renounced all worldly things and sits in this gloomy room on a heap of filthy rubbish. At the first contact in 1945, nothing memorable occurred. But in 1946, he somehow recognized Baba. As soon as Baba entered the stable, Ramanandji touched Baba's feet and said, "Behold, how devoted love draws the Lord Krishna to me. The perfect master is here." Then, to everyone's astonishment, he put his hands beneath his tail and filthy pillow, and pulling out a new and perfectly clean copy of Purdam's The Perfect Master, he opened he clean thing
Okay.
amidst such dirty
I think
sin. And whether it was
your audio is bad. You want to start again from then to everyone's astonishment? Or I can continue.
1 second. No, I'll say, is my voice clear now?
Yeah.
Is it clear now?
Yes, please.
My apologies, Baba, and to all. Then, to everyone's astonishment, he put his hand beneath his tail and filthy pillow, and pulling out a new and perfectly clean copy of Purdam's The Perfect Master. He opened it deftly at a picture page with a portrait of Baba there. He had this one clean thing amidst such dirty surroundings, and whether it was a mere chance that his possession of the book coincided with Baba's visit, no one could say, but it certainly astonished those with Baba. In 1946, Brahmanandji seemed physically in a poor condition. He's only about 35 years old, compared with his health in November 45 when Baba met him for the first time. Karthik, I think this might be an indication that the next book we can consider is The Perfect Master, because it happened when I was reading that part. I'm just being little. Uh, I know it is an indication of what we could visit that.
The C.B. Purdam's book.
Yeah, because it
Maybe.
happened when seeing that, and or it could be the clouds. I don't know what it is, but something happened.
Okay. Something to think about. Sure.
Something to think about. Yes, Jay Baba.
Mathura continued.
Yeah, one second. Inayatullah Mast Inayat Matzub, the spiritual chargeman of Mathura and a high mast of the sixth plane in a Mazub-like state. He is a very tiny old man, about 4 feet tall, quite naked, and he loves sweetmeats and sits in front of a certain restaurant. He is much revered in Mathura, and many come to him to pay their respects. 1944, October 4th, 1945, November 18th, and 1946, October 14th.
There's somebody called OG Baba.
Oh,
Then there's Muzaffarnagar, again UP.
Muzaffar Kuttewala Baba, right?
Yeah.
I start there.
Yeah.
A seeker with an exaggerated love for dogs, kutte, he keeps 6 or 7 of them of a good breed, washes them each day, and takes them out for walks, dressing them in colored silken jackets. When Baidul went to see him, Kutewala Baba was stripped naked, save for a loincloth, and was bathing the dogs. 1942 March. And
Interesting.
yes,
Nagpur right in the middle.
yes, Nagpur, Tukoji Maharaj.
Tukdoji.
Yeah, sorry, can you pronounce it again? Tukdoji Maharaj.
Tukdoji. Yeah, I think it's Tukda, Tukdo,
Yes,
Tukdoji.
yes, correct, correct. A high saint who is much revered for the singing of bhajans, devotional songs, so that whenever he sings, thousands come to near him to hear him. He is very well known in central provinces and in Bombay province. At the
Madhya
time,
Pradesh and Maharashtra.
yeah, at the time of contact, Tukroji Maharaj was about 30 years of age and was a man of vast size. He has a rolling gait like that of one who is intoxicated. When he approached Baba on this occasion in Nagpur, one of Baba's disciples exclaimed, "Look, Baba, a drunkard has come to see you." Baba replied, "He has drunk the wine of love." On this occasion, Tukroji Maharaj brought hundreds of his followers with him, and in front of all of them, he bowed down before Baba. And then, in his great voice, sang devotional songs in Baba's presence. The incident is described in the Meher Baba Journal, Volume 1, March 1939, pages 20 and 21. Sri Meher Baba's tour of 9 days in central India by Princess Norina Machabeli. During the disturbances of 1942, Tukroji Maharaj was imprisoned until many influential people, having made it clear that his great influence was spiritual and not political, procured his release. Tukroji Maharaj was interviewed by an official in prison, and he is asked to be allowed to stay in Gaul since he found it restful there. The next contact with Tukroji Maharaj was during the great Nagpur meeting of November 1944. The following account is extracted from a circular describing the most important public function of the day was staged at Gorakshan compound where Sri Baba gave a darshan to a mammoth gathering of 3,000 people. Another feature of the occasion was the bhajan by the famous Sri Sant Tukroji Maharaj, who received Sri Baba on arrival and escorted him to the dais amid shouts of Sri Meher Baba ki Jai. After the bhajan, which ended at about midnight, Tukroji Maharaj requested Sri Baba to step forward and bless the audience. The scene was presented to the eyes with Baba standing with Baba in his standing posture, his face aglow with divine luster, hands outstretched in blessing, was too sublime and transcendental for words to picturize adequately. Wow.
This looks like a circular that's not the one that's referred above, the Meher Baba journal. It looks like another circular, so which is maybe a non-Baba circular, looking at how it has covered Baba and the incident. Let's continue. Naini.
Yes, Naini Kadir Mia.
So Naini, is it Nainital?
It's F5. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Naini is a place in Allahabad.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. From the
Across
location.
Allahabad. But depends. There could be a few.
Yeah,
there.
here it is, near Allahabad, right there.
Oh, Bangalore.
Yeah, super. Okay.
Okay. A very high mast of the sixth plane who wielded fourth plane powers. He lived in the house of a railway clerk near Naini railway station in a little room specially set aside for his use. He was utterly naked, rather tall, and had a long, dark face and was very partial to tea, chai, hence his second name. He had a mild disposition at the time of his first contact in October 1941. Baba and the Must sat together in the room for 5 hours, from 5 in the evening until 10 o'clock at night. And Kadir Mia, during all that time, kept his door locked from within. Baba took a large kettle filled with 30 cups of tea, and Kadir Mia was thus able to drink as much as he felt inclined. Finally, at about 10 p.m., the Must asked Baba to call Kaka and Savak into the room, and he then ordered Savak to bring pan and tea for him. Then, pointing at Kaka, Kadir Mia asked Baba whether he would keep Kaka with him or not. Baba gave an affirmative nod on the head, and after Sevak had brought the tea and pan, Baba again sat with Kadir Mia for another 10 minutes. At the time of second contact in December of the same year, Baba took an even larger amount of tea, and during the many hours that he sat with him, the Must drank, without exaggeration, about 2 bucketfuls of tea. At that time, there was a fire in Kadir Mia's room, which was therefore almost unbearably hot and full of smoke. Kadir Mia has now passed away.
2 buckets of tea, huh?
That's really, even I was amazed. It's really a whole lot. Okay.
Since when have the human beings been having tea? Any idea? What's the history of tea?
Oh, it's more than 400 years old. More than 400 years old. Because I was in a yeah, it's you see, although the tea gardens in India came later, but there's a record of tea in China. I think it dates back to around 400 years. And I'm saying this because I think I read it somewhere when I was working in a tea garden.
I
Oh,
see.
okay. Which tea garden did you work at? That's
Oh,
interesting.
I was in Leelabadi. That's
Assam.
near Tejpur on the other bank, North Lakhimpur. This is way back in in 1983.
Wow, that's interesting, man. Yeah.
I
The
learned
reason
how this.
asked,
Khub
Sorry.
bhalo, Bangla.
বাংলা কোনো কোনো ব্যাপার না, খুব ভালো, থ্যাংক ইউ, ধন্যবাদ, but that was a Sam.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for that.
the reason I
Because
was asking was
Yeah.
to figure out whether it's some novelty that these musts were drawn to, or we saw ice cream just now, and now this is tea.
No, so tea is a more common thing, right? So it's not a novelty because at the time of Baba, it was pretty prevalent, the milky tea that in India got used to. And I didn't know it was only 400 years old. I thought it was much older. But yeah, if you look back at that presentation, I mean, at the types, right? So clearly, I'm just opening up to see how many of the ones are chai people. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the types are chai lovers. So chai is a big deal.
Right.
with them.
Chai. Did you see?
It's about they I think remain grounded to their physical form with one such addiction or a focus, like a soap or a lot of
Cigarette.
trash
Yeah.
or a
Soap
cigar or a
also.
pour who used to use cigar soap boxes, and there are a trash of papers around them. The one we saw who was in Kolkata. So
Yeah.
it is just this. There are others who used to keep a fire lit in their room, and it's very very hard, but they will still be inside. So one of the we read that also. So they I think these are the things which keep them grounded because they are in a state that they lose their physical uh, awareness. So to say. Yeah. Yeah, well,
So
that's what
all
I
these
think.
things, soap, ice cream, chai, what else? Pan. I'm not sure. Pan must have been there a long time.
Yeah, Pan was also
Cigars,
there. BD,
cigars,
BD.
and
Cigars,
bath, taking a lot of water for bath. That's
water.
another. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of novelty in those times, right? Some kind of addiction, like you said, or novelty. I'm not sure if novelty is the right word. So
I
I'm
think it's
just
being
Both the words I would not like to use. It was as he said. These were not novelties in the period that we are talking
I
of.
agree.
They were already very popular, and addiction would not be a right word to use. I think it is just maybe we can use
Quirky.
maybe, but
Some
addiction is
quirkiness, some
typically we use in a negative.
Hmm.
Some kind of
I'll take it further.
yeah.
I
Adat,
was
yeah.
the question came to my mind, and that's where
Yeah.
the emerging questions I asked just now. What if Baba was in his form in the current age and century? What would the must be drinking? Still chai and pan or ice cream, or maybe bubble tea?
Maybe some new must
KFC.
maybe having
could be coffee also.
maybe
Starbucks.
coffee.
Starbucks.
Okay, okay,
I
guys.
mean,
Hypothetical.
there could be must somewhere in some part of the world having these things, right?
Yeah. So there was one must who used to write unrecognizable words on the walls. And there was one must who used to write on the roads with the chalk wala baba. So they have one such habit. It's just a habit to keep them grounded. That's my understanding. Which
What
is
we see as quirky and
yeah.
almost mad-like has some purpose in their life. As Sanjay ji said, it could be to ground themselves. It could be to connect to other musts or do their universal work, or basically it gives them pleasure of some sort. So they keep going back to those quirky things.
Yes, and Karthik, just to add a word or a thought, a word which came to my mind is idiosyncrasy. So I will just explain what idiosyncratic idiosyncrasy means. Many of you may know it. It's way of thinking or behaving that is peculiar to a person or personal mannerism. Uh, do you think is it that's relevant to the context?
Oh, absolutely, it is. Good word, yeah, that
Yeah,
represents this kind of behavior.
I owe this to my English teachers only.
You had very good English teachers.
Oh yes, he was fabulous. He was going to be nominated almost for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Whoa, who's this?
This is Father Wills Parker. Look it up. It's on my. I think
Lamartiniere or
no. This is St. Xavier School.
Don
Jaipur.
Bosco? St. Xavier's. Okay.
He was one who would, like, I walked with him, and he would take out his coat and put to you know the homeless on the street,
Nice.
and do many other things. Donations, I mean, he had a heart of a divine person.
Very nice.
Anyway,
E for Najibabad.
nee,
E.
yes, okay.
E is A, B, C, D, E. So somewhere near Delhi, I think. Yeah, here it is. Najibabad. Oh, it's actually almost um, pretty north. Uttarakhand, I think. Uttaranchal. Near Dehradun.
Yeah, it's close to Haridwar. Devabad is very close to Haridwar.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, we can rotate another 5-6 minutes, I think, if you're okay.
Yeah.
It's
Shall I read? Shall I
yeah,
continue?
read please. Ghani.
So this same the location is sorry, I can't see that. Yeah, Nazibabad, Riazuddin,
No,
19
we didn't read Ghani
Ghani
Mast.
Mast. Oh yeah, sorry, Ghani Mast. Uh, this is 1942 May, 1942 July 23, 1942 July 24. 3 times of contact. A young man about 30 years of age in a Mazub-like state. He is a Madarzad having traits of an Ittifaqi and a Jamali. His parents, believing him to be insane, were unhappy about his condition, and Baba explained to them that they were fortunate to have such a son, or he was, in fact, not mad as he might appear, but spiritually advanced. This Mas lives in Sahanpur, a tiny state of a few miles away from Nazibabad. In July 1942, in order to reach Sahanpur, Baba and his men had to ford a river in a Tonga, and the water reached over the Tonga pony's back. Baba and Adi crouched as best as they could in the back of the Tonga, but they were nevertheless drenched. The river was in spate from recent times.
Wow.
Riazuddin, 1942 May. A naked, fat, dark skinned fellow, 50 to 60 years old, and a good must. Baba contacted him beneath a tree, and after the meeting, the must said to Baba, Kaam ho gaya. The work is finished. On a later visit, Baba again tried to contact this must, following him for some 3 miles, but he obstinately refused a further contact. He is a typical 100% Maharazad.
Madarzad again is born must. Somebody who's a congenital must, if there is such a thing. Yeah. Okay. More in Najibabad. Yeah.
Nazibabad Tula Shah, an old must of Sahanpur near Nazibabad, whom Baidul coaxed him into oil shop for Baba's contact. The local folk were amazed at this, the first occasion that Tula Shah had been known to follow anyone's instructions. On Baba's second visit to Sahanpur in July of the same year, Tula Shah vindicated his earlier reputation, for he evaded Baba by going off into the wilds outside the town and stubbornly refused to be contacted again. 1942 May. Um, then Mazub Wali, a very high must of the sixth plane in a Mazub-like state. He is held in great esteem in that part of the Punjab and is reputed to have been seen at places many miles apart at almost one and the same time. He is of patriarchal age, thin, naked, has long hair, sleeps in a certain merchant's house at the village of Danewal, a few miles from Nakodar. When Baba and his men returned to Nakodar station late at night from Danewal, they found all in pitch darkness because of wartime blackout regulations. The water taps all closed, the houses and shops all shut, and the whole town apparently sound asleep. So they lay themselves to rest without refreshment of any sort after the tiring journey. This is 1944, February 25th, Baba's birthday.
Exactly. So uh, this place is, by the way, Nakodar. So after Najibabad, Nakodar. Nakodar looks like Punjab, but I don't know whether our side
Yeah,
or
it is in
Pakistan.
Punjab. I've been there. The Indian side is still there.
Indian side. Okay.
Indian side, Nakoda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nakodar. Okay. Nakodar. There it is. Nakodar. Jalandhar ke niche.
Wow.
So interesting use of, I mean, the name. So Majzoobs are seventh plane, but here there is a very high must of the sixth plane called Majzoob. And by the way, Wali. Wali again is a parallel term. Wali cannot be a Majzoob as per the Sufi traditions also. So in this, it's a very rare name. Majzoob Wali is the name given to this must.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
Nanded.
So the learning of terms and learning of Baba terminology continues.
Absolutely. You need a lifetime and more.
Yes. Uh, Continuing Nanded, Adu Mia, brought to Aurangabad by Badu for 5 days. The second contact was in an Arab's house. Adu Mia is an old man dressed in a dirty kafni who loves to smoke ganja, cannabis indica, and who wanders about town. Generous souls give him odds and ends and take his fancy, food and sweets and so forth. And he puts these in his kafni and forgets they are there so that they fall out on the road. He is a good must and lives in the house of an Arab who sees to his needs. This is 1944, February 25th, and 1945, April 12th.
Okay, I think we
We'll
can
rotate.
rotate. Yeah, we
Yes,
can rotate.
I also, and I hope I have not taken away too much time, but anyway.
Okay. Sure. So I'll start. Narayan, I'll read for a bit. Nomita, are you in a position to read?
Oh, the Nomita is there. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. The rare ones get the opportunity.
Oh, yes.
No response. Okay. Sanjay ji, after 10, 15 minutes, maybe you can read for a bit. So I'll read now.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Narayan Gaon, C8. Narayan Gaon, I think, must be Maharashtra. Baba sent one of his men several weeks in advance to select a number of middle class families who were in a precarious financial condition in a few villages in Pune district. Finally, Baba went for one day to the Dak Bungalow at Narayan Gaon, and the heads of the families chosen were brought to Baba there, contacted by him alone, and each given 50 rupees. A total of 24 families were thus given help. They were made up as follows: Narayan Gaon, 5 families; Ale, 4 families; Rajuri, 4 families; and Junad, 11 families. So all this happened in 1944, date unknown, but in May. So this is under the category poor. Narsoba Wadi. Wow. So Baba's been to Narsoba Wadi. I love Narsoba Wadi. I've been there, as I might have mentioned earlier, to see the shrine of um, Narayan, not he's I'm missing the name. Anyway, it'll come back. Narayan Narsimha Saraswati. That's the name of the master, whose shrine is in Narsobhavadi. So anyway,
This is in Maharashtra.
yeah, it's
Maharashtra.
close to Miraj. It's close to Miraj. I'll show you on the map. C9. Yeah, here it is. Miraj Gaon. Pandharpur. Narsobhavadi is here. Right? Can you see it? Yeah. But yeah, before that was Narayan Gaon, which was C8. So Narayan Gaon would have been
Near Pune.
Yeah, here it is, near Pune. And you had the families from Ale, Rajuri, and so on, which are all near. Okay. So now coming back to Narsobhavadi, Narayan Bhatt, a god-mad Brahmin, sent to Baba at Amboli for a few days. See Amboli for his description, 1940 April. So do you want to quickly go back? So let's remember this page. We are at page 313. Let's go to Amboli. Narayan Bhatt. Yeah, so we read this, I think. We must have, rather. God-mad Brahmin brought from Narsobhavadi to Amboli, where Baba and his party stayed a few days. He was an entertaining conversationalist of a crazy sort, mixing English, which he knew very well, which he knew quite well, with Sanskrit, Marathi, and Hindi. He was a learned man who had become God-mad. He accompanied the party to Sakhar Pa, but after having been found by Gustad Ji in the middle of the night, at the top of a tall tree in the Dak Bungalow garden, it was thought better to send him back to Narsoba Wadi since Gustaji found him too difficult to control. Okay, so with that we go back to 399. Valiji in Nasik. This old man was an adept pilgrim who lived in a temple on the banks of the sacred Godavari at Nasik. One of the townsmen of Nasik had given him a cow, and this same man, with commendable forethought, used to send fodder each day for the cow. Adi Kaka and some of Baba's women disciples used to visit Valiji in his little temple. He used to refer to Meher Baba as Mauji Baba, bountiful Baba, and he kept a photo of Baba in his temple. Dates unknown, but two contacts, one in 1929 and another in 1934. Okay, there's more on Valiji. One day, shortly before Kaka left with Baba on a tour to the west, he went to see Valiji as usual. Valiji then asked Kaka to fix a platform close to the ceiling in the temple and to arrange a ladder so that Valiji could climb up and sit there. He explained to Kaka that Baba, pointing to the photo on the wall, had ordered him to let the waters loose in Nasik. Kaka fixed the platform, but had no time to fix the ladder to climb up the platform. A few days later, the floods came in full force, and Valiji's temple was flooded and was half submerged in the swirling waters, so that Valiji, not being able to climb up to his little platform, for there was no ladder, had to go about 5 miles away to another temple. When Kaka returned from the west, Valiji taxed him with his having failed to fix a ladder, but in quite a good-natured way. He had then been recently bitten by a monkey and was in Nasik hospital. He told Kaka that he did not want to die in the hospital. It was hell. And so he was taken to Baba's retreat and after a few weeks died there. He was cremated at Baba's order, and each one of the mandali put a piece of sandalwood on the fire as the cells of Valiji's body were being consumed by the flames. So can we assume that maybe that happened in 1934? Probably. Probably did. So he also met the poor in Nasik. This was the great celebration at Nasik on Baba's birthday in 1937. 1937, February 17th is the date. About 10,000 poor people, wow, many of them from distant villages, were brought to Nasik. Each person was given a laddu, 2 pounds of rice, 2 seers of rice, and 2 yards of cloth. Baba touched the feet of each one of the 10,000, thereafter placing the fingers with which he touched their feet to his own forehead. This great festival is amply described elsewhere, so that a full further description is not considered necessary here. It is, however, included because Baba not only gave prasad to each one, but also contacted them in the special way described. The special being
Yeah, videos are available for this. Yeah, there is
Nasika.
a video of Baba. Yeah. Baba distributing. Baba is sitting on the floor, and there is a sack, white color cloth, and in which that grain was put, and Baba
Okay.
distributing it. And Baba was so handsome that night. Oh, so beautiful. young, young but matured. He was about 42, 43. Yeah, check.
Lovely. Nazirabad near Jaigaon. Where is all this? D7. D7. So this
Here,
is
Jalgaon, Maharashtra.
is
We
it
saw it.
Jalgaon? Oh,
Yeah, I think
Nasirabad,
we saw
Jalgaon. There it
Nasirabad
is.
close to
Yeah,
that.
there it is. Bhusawal, Nasirabad. So
Yes.
it's there. There's a typo, I think. I saw Jaigaon, so I was wondering.
Okay.
Okay. Jalgaon, yeah, of course, yeah.
Jalgaon.
So Nasirabad near Jalgaon, D7, Jipra Baba, contacted in Nasirabad 1943, April 14, and 1943, May or June. Brought to Baba in Pimpalgaon for one day by Baba Das, 1943, May or June. But no mention of him. But there's a photograph. There he is. He's a freak must. Note the 2 barely smoked beedies in front of his left hand. Oh, there it is. The 2 beedies. So Baba describes Jipra Baba as a freak must of a very high type. It was originally a typical Ittefaki mast down to the very last detail, but he later developed characteristics of a mixture of Jalali and Madarzad types. He's naked and old, and he sits in a dirty room. He asks people for a beedi, country cigarette, or a cigarette, takes one puff, throws it away, and at once asks for another. He does this with anything given to him. He accepts it, and if it is food or drink, he takes a bite or a sip, throws the rest away, and then says, Anki, more, and takes the next thing offered, repeats the maneuver, and says, Anki, more again. He has a wife who sometimes comes to visit him. See photograph. So those cigarettes, those beedies rather, are one puff and then thrown away. Interesting. Hafiz G, again Nasirabad, a good must who by day roamed in the wilds and by night slept in a certain mosque. He was an old man and would usually carry a lota, small brass pot, in one hand. Baba followed him into the countryside to contact him and gave him sweetmeats. The meeting was 1941 June. Teliwala is the next one, Nasirabad, a good must who loved oil, tail, and used to pour it all over his clothes and body. He used to say, I am the king of Delhi and my rule holds here. He was brought to the traveler's bungalow for Baba's contact, but he refused to enter, saying, I know what you want me for. Baba later contacted him in the town and fed him with a jalebi, a sweetmeat. 1941 June. The other pattern that you observe, obviously the more recurring pattern in the prominent musts is they all recognize Baba's true stature, acknowledge it, and completely offer their respects to Baba. But the other pattern that we have observed is there is a mixture of either fear or hesitation to meet, right? I don't know what that indicates, right? Many of these musts are avoiding contact with Baba or fearing contact with Baba. So we don't know what that conveys.
Karthik, that could be probably their fear because of the past sanskaras, because they're yet on the path.
With the one that is the most compassionate, with the one that forgives everything, the one that gives love to everyone. So that doesn't add
No,
up.
no, no.
So
To the beloved, you don't want to, right? You have something which you want to hide from it. So it's just that 99.1.01% of thinking which because they know that Baba knows everything, and then in front of a person, it's very fearful to go in front of a person who knows you everything actually, who knows everything about you. So okay, with Baba, yes, physical form available, people have done that, but given that question to each one of us, how would we react? So it's maybe of that kind.
very
It could
interesting.
it could be some insecurity of some wrong done, and of course he is the
Nah,
ever
and
loving, ever
yeah,
compassionate. But
yes,
I
yes,
agree,
yes.
Sanjay.
Interesting. I
And
think
it's
good point that both of you make. So it's basically saying that something that I am embarrassed about to face my master, and that
yeah,
that makes me nervous to when I'm actually faced with the object of all my work. Yeah. So you kind of get embarrassed or fearful or anxious.
And it could be an area of research in this.
Sure. Yeah. We'll yeah. We won't know exactly what happens. So Okha, does anyone know where Okha is? A7. I don't.
near Jamnagar.
Okay. There it is. Tip.
Okha Express. Yeah, it's the tip,
It's absolutely at the tip.
the tip. Yeah,
It's the jaw tip.
yeah,
So
yeah.
interesting.
The
Okha.
train runs from Okha to Trivandrum, something like that. So
Wow, that's some train. So Jamnagar is here, right?
yeah, yeah. It's that's
Oh,
also on shore, but Okha is right at the end.
yeah. Okay. Okha. So there is a Mastan, Okha, the spiritual chargeman of Okha, a fine physical specimen over 6 feet tall. He was a real Jalali type of must and very advanced. He used to carry an axe with him and at times beat people so that he was usually assiduously avoided for fear of physical assault. Baba cites him as a must of peculiar interest because, in spite of his natural Jalali temperament, he behaved towards Baba and his men as the embodiment of a Jamali type of must, was as mild as a lamb, and kissed the hands of Baba and of each of the men with him. He was taken to the traveler's bungalow later the same day and bathed, clothed, and fed there by Baba. This happened in 1941, January. Pal. Pal is C2. Is that Kashmir? This C2. 2 should be here, and C is Pakistan, maybe. Pal, yeah, Pakistan. So in Pakistan, C2, there is Sain Fazl, a fine old man, naked except for a blanket, who lives in a hut at the summit of a hill in the village of Pal. This village is about 30 miles from Khushab and was reached only after a very tiring journey in the worst of buses along an infernal road. Sain Fazl is a very high must held in great esteem by the local people. Every day, the women of the village gather at his hut and serve him with lunch and supper. He has been in that hut for 40 years and has renounced everything and is such an impressive personality that Hindus and Muslims alike greatly revere him. Python. Of course, there's no, yeah, he'd served 3,000 poor. So let's read about Python and the poor. 3,000 poor people of Python and the surrounding countryside contacted by Baba, and each one given 3 seers of jowar, I think, a kind of millet, wrapped in a 2 yard length of cloth. This happened in 1944, 18th of March. Panchgani, Maharashtra again, brought to the Mahabaleshwar ashram, Abdul Siddiq or Shah Sahib, brought to the Mahabaleshwar ashram and from there taken to Satara. A moderate must see the account of the Mahabaleshwar ashram in chapter 2 for this description. Goes to Satara with Baba and party, stays there till August end when he was sent to Mahabaleshwar. I'm sure we read it in M when we went through the sequence. 1946 December, 1946 May 25, but when he's not sure of the dates, he, I think, is enclosing them in brackets. Okay, we can rotate for a bit if Sanjay ji is okay to read.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Sure.
So it is Panchagani. I have to start.
Yes.
Panchagani, name not known. C9. An unexpected contact on the road close to Baba's bungalow. This man accosted Baba and said, "You are the God, Vishnu's avatar, incarnation. Pray, grant me the boon of a master's word for me to remember and repeat." A few minutes later, he said, "My work is done," and then added, "Here, sorry, no one knows you. I have seen you and recognized you as the true avatar of Vishnu. Pray you remember me also." Baba told him through one of the mandli who was with him, "I know all. That is why I came to you here now." The man then folded his hands and bowing said, "My life's desire is fulfilled. Hail, God Vishnu." During Baba's stay in Panchgani, this man was constantly to be seen in and around the bazaar. But this was his only contact with Baba. He was an initiate pilgrim. This account is taken from the Meher Baba Journal, Volume 4, page 119. In consultation with Baba, some minor changes have been made in the translation into English of the original words in Hindustani.
Wow. So he's an initiate pilgrim. So I think it's first and second plane, right? This is confusing.
Yes.
This advanced adept also is confusing. Huh? What's that?
Initiate is first, I think.
First and second, yeah. First or second. Advanced first and then adept. I get confused between which order. So initiate, advanced, final is adept. Okay. Next one is we scroll down to Panhala. Panhala or Panhala. C9 must still be Maharashtra, I think, but we'll check it out. C9.
Yeah, the name of the Maharaj, it is Maharashtrian surname, Moge.
CABC. Yeah. Panhala, almost the coast. Moge Maharaj.
Moge Maharaj, a man of high type with a good entertainment value. He is a very old, thin little man with a face that makes one think of a monkey. And he lives in a tiny cave on the hill at Panhala. Baba and his men First saw him in the post office. He rambles all over the place by day, and he was sitting behind the counter, spitting over the letters which were in the moment being sorted by a clerk. He is, however, much respected by the post office staff, who do not mind or interfere with his unusual habits. There is a spittle on his beard most of the time, and he keeps on touching the ground with one or other hand. He has an enormous appetite for bidis, country cigarettes, and tea. He was coaxed into Baba's car and sat there holding Baba's hand, took Iraq's hat and put it on his own head, talked all the manner of nonsense that no one understood, and spat all over the upholstery of the car. Wow. He was taken to his little cave in the hillside, and Baba sat with him there for contact. Despite all these vagaries, however, Moge Maharaj is a good must of a high chai.
The date of contact was 1947 May, so towards the end of the must contacts. Next is Panipat, If Aladia.
A thin, blind, fully naked man and a high mast who sits in a niche to one side of the entrance to the shrine of Bu Ali Shah Kalandar. A screen was made so that Baba might contact him privately.
Two contacts, 1942 June 26 and 1946 April. Parbhani. You need, I can
Parbani
continue.
again in Maharashtra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parbani again in Maharashtra. Sheikh Amun Walu, a good must, pound of dogs, for he keeps 15 to 20 of them about him and is fond of liquor, which he drinks when he feels the need of it. People respect him as a must, and to those who go to him, he says, I am not saint. I only drink and keep dogs. So why do you come to me? He lives on the veranda of a house with his dogs.
Sheikh Amun Walu. And the date of contact was 1944 March 11th.
Okay.
Pasroor. I think this again is Pakistan.
Pasroor, I don't know. To see D2. 2 should be Pakistan, yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
E, A, B, C. Pasroor. No. Oh, 2. Right. So it's here. I couldn't spot it, huh? 1,
Probably
2.
Go down here only. It is 2, column 2, go down.
Oh, 2. I'm looking at 4. Okay.
D2, right?
Yeah.
The first column, second column, the fourth block from the top.
D2. I'm not able to see it.
it's okay. I think it's not listed, maybe.
I doubt that.
Oh, then we are then we are looking at the wrong section, maybe.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Looks like Pakistan. Go ahead.
Okay, where were Pasroor?
Ruki Mai.
Ruki Mai, a very good Mastani indeed, old, of small frame, with white hair, who sits in a cemetery, smokes a hookah, and talks mostly nonsense. People come from many a distance village to see her, and there are generally many women sitting about her each day, for she is held in. Then we have
1940.
Bengali Baba at Pathankot. Yeah,
So
this was
anybody
in
that
May
anybody who,
1942.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, 1942 May and 1946 May. Twice that contact was made. Yeah, you were asking something.
No, I was just having a unimportant remark. Anybody has tried the hookah?
No, I haven't tried.
Oh, okay.
No,
I have,
A few
I have
years
no,
tried.
back,
no.
it became very popular actually. There were a lot of hookah bars that came up in India, and suddenly they
Yeah,
faded
yeah, yeah.
away.
No, they
After
faded
government bought
away.
some regulation.
Yeah, they faded
Government
away
bought a
because
regulation, something.
correct. They faded away because it was also uh, rampantly used for
Hmm.
drugs. So though it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
yeah, but it's very popular here. So the first time I
Yes,
tried it
yes.
was Saudi Arabia, and I actually liked it. But now I can't. I mean, it doesn't. It bothers my throat, so I don't. I don't. But it's fun.
Mhm.
You go and do. You just go and blow into the pipe.
Yes, yes.
My grandfather used to use it regularly.
Oh, nice. You haven't tried it?
Mm.
I have tried it, yeah. On his hookah, I tried it.
Okay, yeah. I like the whole experience. This is pretty romantic, and you get that sound along with it. It's straight out of some movie or some
Right.
past. So
Yeah.
that's how I first tried it.
Royal.
But then,
In
yeah,
Kashmir,
royal.
I think you can still find people having it. I
Interesting.
mean, traditional guys, not the fashion hookah.
Yeah,
Got
So
it.
yeah, there
guys,
is one chillam, which is chillam without water. You just blow it.
yeah, chilam is just held
There's
in
a
hand.
pipe. Yeah, it's in hand. But I think hookah you should be able to find on Amazon and order.
Yes, yes. Now it's
Okay.
chillam is basically Indian version of the pipe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that departure from regular, but yeah. Bengali
Yeah.
Baba.
Oh, okay. Bengali Baro, Pathankot, a very high must of Jalali and Jamali types combined. A spiritual chargeman of Pathankot. He is a thin old man who always lies in a potter's shop and says, Jao, Jao, go away, go away, to anyone who comes. The potter believes in him and reveres him so much that he goes home each evening, leaving his shop open all night with Bengali Baba lying there. Many townsfolk, especially Muslim women, take this opportunity to come by night to pay their respects to Bengali Baba. So great is the reverence in which Bengali Baba is held that nothing is ever stolen from the shop. So this was thrice the contract was made. April 1942, April 1946, May 30th, 1946, June 22. So important.
Yeah. All the time in yeah. Patri. Patri is I think
First three.
Kashmir.
A.
Enlargement A.
Enclosure A is from Kashmir, right?
No, I think Hardwar. So near
Haridwar.
Hardwar, below
Okay.
Hardwar, Patri. Enclosure enlargement B is Kashmir.
From Kashmir. Okay. So the very first man, specially contacted by Baba, Baba says that any must contacted. This is in August 1924. Before this one was accident, and everyone thereafter was purposely contacted. He was a good must on the fifth plane, a Zamali type, who lived in a hut by the roadside, which he never left. So this is the first must Baba officially met, contacted rather.
It's not very clear whether it was first ever or yeah, maybe first
No,
ever.
no, no.
And so from the dates
Accidentally,
perspective.
Baba must have missed the Met during his travels. But
Hmm.
as a focused must contact, this was the first one. Where
And this
Baba
is pretty
especially.
early. And this is
Yeah,
pretty early, right? It's 1924.
24. Yeah.
It's the 20s still. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Baba was still speaking. Wow.
Correct, 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 correct. So, okay, Pata, H5. I don't even know where that is.
Patha, H5.
Let's go check it out. 5 H is here. So Eastern Europe. I mean, Eastern UP. H.
Okay.
This is 5, yeah. A, B, C. Oh, it's Patna, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
Patna. Typo.
Hmm.
So this is a typo. This H should be an N. So the two
Okay.
two
Okay.
important
Okay.
musts. There are two
Yeah. Yeah.
important musts that we have to read,
Yes.
both from Patna. Please go ahead.
Rushi Baba, a good must of patriarchal age, said to be about 100 years old, who carries a bundle in one hand and the other a fan, which he fans himself. He abuses people and is much revered. He lives in a Bengali's house, 1942 March. Then we have Zinda Wali, an adept pilgrim, now an old man, who has never left the shrine of Fulwari Sharif for many years. Once each day, he opens his door and gives darshan to those who come to see him, and then goes away at once. Proper contact was not possible due to crowds, but Baba was happy to see him and spoke highly of him. We have Peshawar, that's in Pakistan.
Correct.
Ashik Baba, a moderate must of middle age who wanders around. He wanders about outside the cantonment perimeter via gate on the Kabul road. Baba gave him a watermelon. On a later visit to Peshawar, Baidul met a man who remembered Baba having contacted Ashak Baba in 1943. He explained that ever since he contacted Ashok Baba, had been in a hut which he never left, that he was incontinent and sat there in the filth. It would seem, therefore, that he had become Mazhub like. Incontinent. Oh, a new word. Okay.
No, incontinent basically means when you lose control of your stools.
Okay.
So, so
Okay.
incontinence is when you lose control of your stools. So
Motion.
basically, he was not in control of
Oh,
his motions and living in that room, and so that's why it's speculated that he probably became a majzub. So Baba's contact actually pushed him up.
okay.
This was 1943 August, and
Yeah.
then Nanga Baba Ahmed Shah.
Ahmad Shah, a real Jalali must and a high one. He squats naked in a hut in a cemetery, smokes a hookah, abuses those who come near, and has a piece of wood lying on the ground before him, which he perpetually hits with a large and heavy knife. He is now old and has been in that room for many years. Baba went to see him twice, but because of his Jalali nature, it was impossible to achieve proper contact. The Muzawar of Nanga Baba explained that although he, Nanga Baba, had been in Peshawar for many years, he has come originally from Deccan. Oh,
So, a question to the whole group, if for all these musts which Baba contacted, can we assume that they had the grace of the perfect master, or it was just a push in the journey?
What's the difference between the two? I think both are suggestive of grace. I think I think most of the cases, the way he described or defined these musts is they needed help, and his contact was giving that help to move them in their state of intoxication, move them or help them along. I think that's a better way of
I would
understanding.
also add that when the avatar comes, there are many souls who are stuck on the path for many years, and he has come to redeem them. So, like in the story of Rama, also we see this that he wandered around, and then there are many in the
People.
Indian, yeah,
Yes.
Indian, like somebody was in stone form and all that,
Yeah.
and the Shabri ke bear and all that. Yeah. So there are
Mm.
many such souls which are on the way and stuck on the path, and Rama liberated them.
So, it's the
Uh,
final push.
Yeah, so final push that they were. That's the reason he came, right? So, so this is one of the reasons maybe we can say, but this is work. Other avatars we probably don't know much written so much clearly, but Rama, yes, is similar to what Baba has done.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think others also must have done. We don't know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. Cool. I think on this note, let's stop here and enjoy the week ahead. Um, and 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 any other thoughts before we wrap up?
Yes, I think we should look up the Perfect Master book.
Okay, why don't you look it up and tell us what you think, and we can
I look.
decide.
Have online version or something. Please forward it to me, or I'll try to get one. I'll try to buy one or whatever.
Sure. Okay, let me know.
If
We, I
anyone has,
think, we at least have at least 3-4 weeks before we wrap up this book. Looks like at a minimum.
correct.
Looks like another 100 plus pages to go.
Yeah, my request is if anyone has an online PDF copy, then can share with me.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
caution is that by the end of the book, nobody should pick up a cigar or a cigarette or a beedi or a chilla.
No, that is your own prarabdha or sanskaras. That's see
This is
any
maybe
addiction
yeah,
is
yeah.
your